Hi, my name is Pat, and this is my channel, Book Chat with Pat, and I'm glad you're here. I've now been on my channel for almost 2 weeks, and I've been thinking about what types of videos make the most sense for me to be making on a regular basis. I very much like the idea of doing a Friday reads or a weekly wrap-up. That makes a lot of sense, and I certainly enjoy those when I watch other people's videos. This week, a great deal of what I've been reading isn't something that I can talk about just yet. I've been reading a lot of nonfiction as a judge in the first round of the BookTube Awards, and we've been asked not to talk about those books until the judging process is over, which certainly makes a lot of sense. I also have recently finished Alice McDermott's Absolution, a book that I loved and that I very much want to talk about, and I will do a video on this soon. My book group is discussing it this Tuesday, so I would prefer to make my comments about it after our group discussion. I'm also working my way through a reread of George Eliot's Middlemarch, which I'm reading for a Classics and Company read-along, where Kim at Middle of the Book March will be our host. She brings a great deal of love and expertise on George Eliot, all of her works and her life as well. So I'm really looking forward to participating in that discussion. So I've been thinking about what other plans I have for the channel. I really would like to do more Poetry Thursdays. I understand that used to be more of a thing here at BookTube. I don't know that I could do one every week, but I definitely have lots of poets that I would love to share and and talk about. I have one in the works now, which hopefully I'll be able to get that together for this coming Thursday. I think I've fallen into the BookTube newbie trap, and trap's not the right word because that sounds negative, and this is really a very positive thing. But there are so many wonderful events going on, and I'm like a kid in a candy shop. I want to do them. I want to do them all. For instance, as I said, I'm excited about the Classics and Company read-along of Middlemarch, so I signed up for that right away. Then I learned about March of the Mammoths, where you're supposed to read a book that's over 800 pages for the month of March, and I'm hoping that Middlemarch can count for that. If I count the introduction, it definitely is over 800 pages. And I think Kim said it's okay. So if Kim says it's okay, then we can do it. I'm very excited about March Mystery Madness. The theme is To the Nines because it's the 9th year of that read along, and they have 9 prompts. And I've quickly gathered my books that I would like to read for that. And then just yesterday morning, I learned that there is an Irish readathon during the month of March, of course, for St. Patrick's Day, which certainly makes a lot of sense. My Irish grandparents would roll over in their graves if I didn't participate in that. So I'm hoping that there might be some overlap. I have a lot of Irish literature, and I'm sure I can find some Irish mysteries. So maybe I can kill 2 birds with one stone. At any rate, if I keep going like this, with every challenge and every invitation that comes along, I will no doubt be burnt out by April, but I'm having a lot of fun. Okay, what I wanted to talk about at length today is my progress in the Read 24 Banned Books in 24 challenge, created by the wonderful MJ over at Reading This Life. I've read several more novels that fit into this challenge, books that are currently being banned today. Today, I would like to speak in some detail about Elizabeth Acevedo's novel, The Poet X. This is a beautiful YA novel told in verse form. Elizabeth Acevedo published this young adult novel in 2018, but she started writing it in 2012 when she was a middle school English teacher in Maryland. Indeed, she dedicates the book to her students and to, quote, all the little sisters yearning to see themselves. Elizabeth Acevedo describes herself as Afro-Latina. She grew up in New York City, and like her main character in this novel, she was encouraged by a high school English teacher to join an after-school poetry club and to participate in poetry slams at open mic nights around the city. Acevedo would eventually go on to be a national poetry slam champion. She earned her bachelor's degree in performing arts, designing her own major at George Washington University. Then she went on to earn an MFA in creative writing at the University of Maryland, where she was also an adjunct professor teaching undergraduate students in the creative writing program. She later taught 8th grade English in Prince George's County, Maryland. Her realization that her students could not see themselves in anything in the curriculum was a huge part of the inspiration for her to write this first novel in verse. Excuse me. The Poet X is a coming-of-age story depicting the life of narrator, 15-year-old Xiomara Batista, also known as Xio or just plain X. Xiomara is a Dominican-American girl with a twin brother and an extremely devoutly Catholic mother who had wanted to be a nun before she was forced to marry Xio's father. They live in Harlem, where her mother tries desperately to shield Xiomara from the street life and all of the dangers, both real and imagined, there. Xiomara is struggling with changes that she is going through in adolescence. Her recently developed body, a body that her mother says is, quote, a little too much body for such a young girl, makes her the target of unwanted attention from boys and men. Her mother is protective of her daughter to the extreme and attempts to shelter her from a potentially dangerous outside world. For her mother, religion is everything, but this is not the case for Xiomara, who is questioning the church and her place in it. Each chapter of the book is dated as if it were a journal entry. But this is no ordinary diary. Xio pours her heart into her poetry. In these poems, she writes about her daily life, her conflicts with her mother, her doubts about religion, the sexual harassment that she is enduring, and eventually a crush that she develops on a boy in one of her classes. Aman, the crush, becomes her first love. But when her mother discovers this relationship, she reacts with extreme brutality. Xiomara basically withdraws into herself, and her English teacher notices. She encourages her to attend a poetry club after school, and Xio resists for a long time. but eventually she does go. At this meeting, in spite of her great anxiety and nerves, she is able to share one of her poems, and everyone loves her work. They discuss it, they take it seriously, and maybe for the first time in her life, Xiomara feels truly seen and heard. It's a wonderful young adult coming of age novel. She ends the journal entry where she's describing this poetry club, this first meeting, by saying, "My words felt important for just a moment." And this is just the beginning. Xiomara is eventually encouraged to perform her poetry at in slam poetry open mic nights throughout the city and in competition. One of the central themes of the novel is the importance of finding one's voice, of assuming the right to be seen and heard. Xiomara has grown up in a family where she doesn't feel seen or heard. She cannot tell her mother or her father her feelings, her questions, her fears. She can't talk to them. The only place where she can be herself is in her notebook, where she is able to put into words all of her feelings and thoughts and questions. Writing becomes a way for her to make sense of her world. But as Xiomara is encouraged to share her writing and even to perform it, she gradually learns that she has a community where she can be herself, where she can be heard and seen, and where she belongs. Acevedo has won numerous awards and accolades for this first novel. She won the National Book Award for Young People's Literature in 2018. Also in 2018, she was awarded the Boston Globe Horn Book Award. She won the Walter Dean Myers Award for Outstanding Children's Literature in 2019. That same year, she also won the Michael L. Prince Award and the Carnegie Medal for Writing. She was awarded in 2019 the Pura Belpré Award, which was established in 1996 and named for the first Latina librarian in the New York City Public Library. Additionally, Acevedo was named by the Poetry Foundation as the Young People's Poet Laureate for the years 2022 through 2024. The Poet X, which earned its author these numerous important prizes for young adult literature, is also currently banned in many school districts in the states of South Carolina, Florida, Texas, and Utah. And it faced challenges that did not result in banning in Pennsylvania, Virginia, and North Carolina. The original challenge to the book came from the parents of a boy in a public charter high school in North Carolina. They challenged the book on the grounds that it contained what they deemed to be, quote, an anti-Christian narrative, because the main character, like many adolescents, questions her mother's Catholic faith. While the family was offered an alternative to the book for their freshman son, the parents wanted the book removed entirely from the curriculum, and they sued the school district and eventually took their case to a federal appeals court. Their suit was repeatedly struck down. They were unable to prove that the book was chosen specifically in order to deliver an anti-Christian message. The court correctly found that public schools have a legitimate interest in having kids encounter challenging ideas, even if they disagree with those ideas. The court held that in a country with people of diverse faiths and no faith at all, quote, a public school must not be forced to base its curriculum on anyone's religious beliefs. Additionally, the court held that there was no evidence whatsoever that the curriculum was biased against Christianity or that the novel was being taught in a biased manner. The court ultimately refused to prohibit the teaching of the novel. The court did uphold the parents' right to have their child opt out of reading it and to request an alternative. However, the court went on, quote, "No parent should be allowed to dictate what everyone else should read." As of 2022, the parents were planning to appeal the court's decision. In South Carolina and Utah, the book has been banned from public libraries in several towns. In Florida and Texas, it has been banned from several school district classrooms and libraries. Challenges in Virginia and Pennsylvania have not thus far been successful. At an event last fall at a high school in Washington, D.C., Acevedo participated in a panel discussion on book banning. She said, quote, "Banning books has never been about protecting children from harmful content or themes. It is about enshrining inequality. We're not talking themes. We're talking about people who exist in the world. We're talking about characters who exist. We are people. They are not banning these books to protect you, because oftentimes these books are about you. They're banning these books because they're saying, we don't want certain demographics of kids to know what other kinds of young people exist within their community. Other kinds of people exist. If you are a young person who is queer in a community where they tell you that you can't even read about queerness, what does that say about your existence? If you're the only Black student in a predominantly white school and you can't even read books that talk about Black pride, what does that say about what you should be prideful about? What does that say about how they see you? She went on. It just makes me realize the different ways they try to disempower folks and disempower communities who are trying to say that not only do we exist, but that we should be allowed our joy. We should be allowed stories that show us in our fullness. So that's a little bit about another banned book, a beautiful, highly acclaimed novel that maybe you'll consider reading as well. I hope you're all doing well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again soon. Take care.